previously on Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along.
That's why I love to draw, and I wanna create Supa-Saturdays, Supa-Saturdays, Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between, or therefore. Welcome once again to another episode of Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along with me, Jerome Hinds. And I think I've got some bragging rights this evening to you, this morning to me, in that recently my audio has been absolutely terrible. I discovered that my default setting actually went back to the internal mic. I couldn't understand why, because I've got a nice new mic, but the audio was terrible. My Shure mic was not being sourced. So I should be a bit clearer today, hopefully a lot clearer. But on top of that, I've got a terrible voice because silly me, I was out until 3 a.m. this morning doing reggae music emceeing. Not a good idea when you got to start streaming 3 hours later. I'm in Singapore. I'm 12 hours ahead of you guys, Eastern time. So it's 6 p.m. where you are. It's 6 a.m. where I am. So I just had about 1 hour sleep. My voice is going. I was on the mic chatting with all that Jamaican accent stuff. It was a great night, some fantastic DJs, awesome audience. But now I'm here picking up the pieces, so to speak. So what's happening? We've got mainstream month. So for the month of May, I'm doing characters that are mainstream. So you get the joke? Mainstream, the month of May. So last week, let me make my canvas bigger. Now, hang on. I've got some. Okay, Pops is in the house. Was that Pops? Yeah. Pops is the producer emeritus here at Madness Entertainment Group. And I've got to make sure I keep an eye on things because there was 1 month where my mic wasn't switched on. I'm very wary of doing nonsense. So where was I? Yes. Last week, remember we did a grid drawing of Batman. We then did a derivative Bruce Wayne. And then we did a hybrid animation style with a bit of comic coloring discipline, Bruce Wayne again. So today, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to switch it up to Wonder Woman. So I hope you've got your pencils, styluses, everything at the ready, and you're going to follow me in this exercise. So what I want you to do, first of all, remember last week we started with 8 squares. They were kind of squat, but the squares today are going to be a bit more even. So what I want you to do, first of all, is draw me a large square. If you're working on paper, turn your paper landscape and go to the far half of the paper, the left half. And I want you to draw me a square. Now, of course, I'm drawing digitally. I'm using Clip Studio Paint. And you may be asking yourself, Jerome, why don't you just use the tool to draw a square? Well, the answer is, I'm not that kind of guy. I'm going to be down in the trenches with you guys who are drawing traditionally. Because as I always say to people, no matter how convenient digital is. And I use a lot of digital functions. It's very convenient and it's very fast. What you mustn't forget is, if you ever have to draw live at a Comic Con or something of that nature, if you can't still sketch organically, you could find yourself in a problem. So I want you to cut both squares in half and then everything vertically. And that should give you 8 squares. Correct? Now for greater accuracy, I want you to cut all of the squares in half again. I'm going to keep those lines even lighter. And here on Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along, there's a certain battle cry. And any of you who've joined me before in the past, you've heard this. You've probably heard this before. Keep those pencils light. I'm right. When it comes to sketching, you want to keep those pencils light. That's because after construction, if you're working traditionally, after construction, you of course want to erase your pencils. And of course, if you make a mistake, if you're drawing traditionally and your pencils are dark, you're going to have that much more problems correcting your mistake. So we've got our grid of 8. Well, it was a grid of 2, cut in half again, which gave us 4, and we've lightly dissected those in half again. So all in all, we've ended up with 16 rectangles. Got it? I should have actually divided up my squares on different layers. Naughty boy. So I've got my grid, and I'm now going to put in face shape. So shape of a face is very important. So what I want you to do is make a marker, give yourself a V at the bottom of the center line. And the top of the first square, give me a rounded arc. If you're working digitally, put this on a separate layer, please. Pretty please. Now join these up. And how do you join them up? You touch, 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 and gradually the arc is going to form. Got that? Good. Now halfway at the halfway point, just above the halfway point, there. Got that? Just above the halfway point of all the squares. This is the top of the side of our face. So just go over that vertical there. Go over the vertical here. Good. And what we're going to have is her tiara comes down here. Right, we're just above the halfway point, correct? And from that tiara to this point, give me an arc. Give me an arc. How lovely. Start from the point of beginning and where you're going to end up. Okay, now try to be as symmetrical as possible. Drawing symmetrically is not the easiest thing in the world, but we have to practice it. Now the tiara comes up to just below the halfway point of this particular square. So give yourself a marker, reiterate that, and the top of the tiara comes up to about the bottom third of that top line of squares, and give yourself a gentle arc going upwards. There and there again. And just in case you're wondering what music it is that I'm playing, it's a cover of a track that I used to play when I was a kid. It's a guy named Purple Man. And I redone it using AI. I know quite a few people are against AI, but I don't have my reggae band in Singapore with me these days. It's just me. Now, that's not entirely true. I play in a band with my wife and 2 of my children. But they're not so efficient in reggae music, let's say. Sorry, let me do this again. I want you to give me an arc over that very top. The last top intersection. And it goes out about halfway down this bottom half of the top square. There. Now give me a gentle curve. And over here, just below the halfway point, it's a bit of a side parting. So it's going to come in, then it's going to go off again into an arc. So we're doing the face and the head shape first. Okay, good. Now, almost the width of one of the squares, give me a marker here at the halfway point. Not quite as wide as a square, but quite big. So don't draw, I should have mentioned, don't draw too near to the edge of your paper. So continue this arc out there. And then continue this arc. Now this piece of hair is actually pretty big. I want you to come down to about the top half of the second square here. Give me a marker about not quite the width of a square, just a little bit less. About there. Almost the width of another square. Then bring your arc down to that destination. I always advise my students to kind of know where you're going with your sketching. It does make life easier. So, come back to the second set of squares up and give me a gentle curve up like this. This is the hair covering the ears. And her ears are going to drop just below here. Give me a curve, meets just below that line there. Yeah, good. And balance that up. I was looking back at my recording from last week, and one part of my symmetry was quite criminal. Terrible. Okay, let's just drop in the neck. We're not going for a full-length character here. Maybe we will do a full-length Wonder Woman before the end of the month. So just below the draw meets the bottom division, just drop me in the neck. Now here, we want the hair to come down, level with the jaw, about there. Then it starts to flow off into the distance. There, and here, I like this part of our character design. It's like a kink in the hair, then the hair starts to flow outwards again. There's a lot to be learned from simple animation design, stroke comic book. Like the artist Bruce Timm draws with a lot of these disciplines, and I really like it. So now we've got quite a stern Wonder Woman. So I want you to give me an arc on the top of the bottom square. There, and it comes down to about halfway, like this, and curve that over. Then just below, give me a bottom arc, comes in and meets the top one. And we're going to put a bit of feeling into these lips. We're going to arc them up and down. Good. A stern mouth. Now here we are in the bottom rectangle of the third set of squares, if that makes sense. Give me a little arc just to the side of the center line and curve it out to just under that quarter mark, and then coming almost halfway down, give me the cleft of the nose. Then make sure the nose is long enough. We don't want it to look too bestial. Give me one nostril there, and the other nostril, give me that on the halfway line itself. Now, so I'm just going to drop that over just slightly away from the halfway mark. There. Now we take this curve up to the top of the bottom. The second row of squares, we can see that, yeah? Ooh, got a few of you watching, it looks like. Thank you so much for joining me, Jerome Hinds, here on Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along. Hi, Chris. Thank you for dropping by. Please, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, please put them in the chat. I would be happy to answer. So let's find a position for the eye. So just below the halfway mark in this top quadrant of this square, give me a marker. Just inside here, give me a marker just inside here and a little bit higher. You got that? Now go the other side and do the same thing. There. Let me take this marker up slightly. And I do like the design of Wonder Woman's eyes. Right, so we want to put a feeling, a sweeping motion into the bottom of the eye. So it comes down, it's like a wave, up and over. Good. Then we're gonna have, now let me think, I want to make her as pretty as possible. We give a gentle arc over the eye here. Here we go. And the same on the other side. Try to keep it as even as possible. Now, my wife said to me last week, don't you think you're drawing a bit fast for anyone watching? And I said, that's a fair point. But I've got to try and finish the drawing during the session. And I suppose you could always rewind if I'm going a bit too fast. Let me widen the eye up a bit. Good. Now we're going to put our eyelashes. So give me a double line here and a double line underneath. And we want these to meet the edge of the square perfectly. There. And we want the same the other side. So we thicken up this line here. Then we come in. The same on the other side. Then it flicks outwards. Come down. Come in. Go under the eye. Good. Now let's put the eyebrow in. Now eyebrows are very important, yeah? If you draw a character and you get the eyebrows wrong, you could be in a lot of trouble. So I want the arc to come up to just over this marker here. Then it comes down and meets the inside of the eyebrow. And you let the line from the nose, carry on, and it goes up. Then it comes down to make a point just about there. Good. And now the other side, she's got a bit of an expression. So this eyebrow is going to come down here, arch across the eye, come underneath this line actually. She's looking a bit fierce, is our Wonder Woman. Carry that over there. Then this comes up, down and over. And I'm looking at her tiara. I made her tiara a little bit flat, you know. And something that I was a bit naughty on actually is I think my eyes are a little bit on the high side. They should have been a bit further down, I would say. About there, I reckon. Okay, now I do. Let me bring this eyebrow down. Let's just thicken up this eyebrow slightly here. Make a little bit more the Amazon powerful lady that she is. Good. Now these characters, you know, there's a million and one ways you can draw eyes. Wonder Woman has a complete circle that's showing only the top of the eyeball is missing. But you can see the bottom of it with this kind of expression. And be sure not to put your eyes too far apart or your characters can look a bit odd. Right, I'm going to bring this eye in slightly. Someone's in. Evening all. Hello, Houston, Texas, David. Nice to have you in the house. Keep those pencils light. Indeed. Come back here. Now, something that I didn't actually do was I didn't put in the inner cleft of the eye, just there. Yeah? So now with the pupil, give me a small circle, dead center. And then a highlight that encroaches bottom left. There. Now on her tiara, she has a star. So let's drop this in. Got a few stars to do here. Actually, it's a bit of a, what's the name of that slope? Is it obtuse? Okay, it's a little bit a relaxed star, you could say. There on the tiara. And same again with the earrings. So we put a bit of movement in these earrings, yeah? We're going to rotate them slightly. So we make a point come up here, point go down there. Drawing perspective on the earrings. God damn, Jerome. How could you do that to the people? And the same on the other side. Perspective on the earrings, man. Brutal. Oh. My voice, my throat. I was on that microphone last night, shouting like crazy. There, that's our two earrings. Okay, so we've got our sketch. So I'm working digitally. Am I not? And that means
Save!
say it again.
Save!
I'm right. I've seen many a nasty occurrence from people who didn't save. The worst was once I was creative director in an advertising agency, and I've told this story before. So if you heard this story before, ignore me for the next minute or so. When I had this young graphic designer from Malaysia, and he had this nasty habit of opening documents, changing it, and then save as. I'm sure you guys out there understand what I'm trying to explain here. And I warned him, I said, one day you're going to do that, and you're going to overwrite the original file. And he thought he was very clever. He thought he'd ignore me. And then one day I heard a massive amount of expletives coming from the studio. And without even asking a question, I knew what he'd done. So yes, we must save, but make sure we save with care. Save with care. Right, so let's switch off our grid. There's our Wonder Gal. Now I'm going to ink this. So I'm going to knock my pencils back even lighter. I must remember to zoom in so you people at home can really see what I'm doing. So I'm going to get a new layer, put it on top, and call this inks. Now I'm using Clip Studio Paint, and my favorite tool is the mapping pen. You can see it here on the left. And I normally like to ink with anything between 6 to 10 pixels at this size. Let me just have a quick practice. Yeah, that looks good enough. And my stabilization is at 90, because drawing digitally is not like drawing freehand. I can tell you, of course, when you draw freehand, if you make a mistake with your inking, that is, of course, more catastrophic. But apart from that, it is easier to keep a steady hand, I find, when inking traditionally. Inking digitally, I find to be, in some respects, a little bit more difficult. Come to a fine tip for the chin, down the other side of the face. The face. Now I'm using a Cintiq, which is a large Raycom. I'm using a 24-inch Cintiq, which is a large screen kind of monitor. And on my other machine, I use a Wacom 1. You call that. Now here, I'm going to use the Shift key. As you hold down Shift, you can draw straight lines, pretty much. So I'm holding Shift, and I'm just clicking. And it draws me the straight lines automatically. So let's get the curve of the hair in. Now I don't have enough room to draw all of her hair, so I'm going to make it stop horizontally about here. Just join that up. Good. It's getting the top of the hair. It's a large arc at the top. Come down, down, and meet. tiara. Now, Wonder Woman has lots of very big arcs, making her not the easiest character in the world to draw. I'm slightly rounding this star, as I mentioned earlier. It's not exactly like the earrings, which is very pointed and angular. There, let's put in the bottom of the tiara. I do. Good. Let's do those lips. Now I want thick to thin. Thin, come up, thicker. Thin, slightly thicker. Thin, thin, thick, thin. The nose, thick, thin to the point, and then go off into a nice taper. Two very gentle nostrils. Eyebrow. Now we got some heavy blacks to spot in this. The eyebrows being some of those. Try to keep that inking pen or brush, whatever you're using, as smooth as possible. Oh, got a few of you watching, it looks like. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me here on Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along. You could be anywhere on the internet, but you've chosen to be here with me, Jerome Hinds, on the Madness Entertainment Group. But big announcement, Madness is one of the official broadcast partners of the upcoming con. Now, which con is it? My old memory is failing me. I'm going to run a trailer for it a bit later. And you can see all of the attractions. Is it the Grand Rapids con? I'm going to have a quick check. And then you will see what's going to be going on, man. There, I've got this double line for these eyebrows. Eyelashes, sorry. And let's eyeball. Now the highlight goes in front and the pupil is behind. Good. Now I'm going to switch off my sketching. So now I'm going to paint bucket some heavy blacks into this. So let me take this straight line right across the entire image. Yeah, that's better. So now I can get my paint bucket, and on a separate layer, I call this SP, the spotting. And I just click. Oh, sorry, no, I need to switch off my paper texture. Well, I have a paper texture behind to give my drawing a different feel. But of course, when you're paint bucketing, it can interfere with the process. Whoops. So now I'm going to come in. Using the paint bucket, there are a few things that it can't get in. You see, when it's very close like that, you make sure you come back in and touch up those bits that is not being caught. I of course want the eye pupils there. There. Stern looking Wonder Woman. And we've reached this stage. So what do?
Save!
Yeah, save. So now let's get a flesh color. We can color this. So I'm going to put in here flesh. So how do we choose the flesh color of the average person? No alien, no blue skinned or green skinned freaks here. Generally speaking, if you're looking for a skin tone of an Asian, let's start from the right. Here's my color wheel. If you bring the picker into, you see where the yellow is just turning gold, almost going towards orange. Come in the pastel area up here, and that's going to give you a pretty average Asian skin complexion. You can come into the darker areas for slightly darker skin, but you've got to be careful with this. When you move over to the oranges and the darker areas here, that's safer for darker Asians or black people, and you come into the darker areas depending on the level of darkness that you want in the skin hue. Now, as you come out of the oranges in the color wheel, and you're almost going towards crimson, the very pastel areas of that is what gives you a Caucasian skin complexion. So Wonder Woman is Caucasian. So I want something from here about there. Again, get my trusty paint bucket, split off my paper. And I'm going to click here, here, there. Zoom in, make sure there's no bits that have been missed. This is quite a simple drawing, so there aren't too many sharp edges. Good. Now there's a layer that I call Flesh 2, which is always a bit richer for this color that's in here. There and there. Now working with Clip Studio, what I like to do is I color coordinate my layers. Look here on the right. I'm going to sample her flesh tone and make the flesh layer that color. Same over here again. The Flesh 2, I will sample this color in here. And that layer is that color. Now you've got to be careful as well when you're coloring digitally, because you need to fill your white areas with white. So I'm going to make a white layer. Change the color of the layer to white. Then get my paint bucket. Whoops. Change the color. See, those bits are white. There's the highlight. And I think that's it for the whites. Now I'm going to go for the gold of a tiara. Actually, just yellow, to be honest. So here, not too saturated, want it a bit subtle. Click in here. And I'm going to change the layer. Color there. There. Would you please sample my color? The machine's messing about. Now her earrings are actually silver. And I do like to depict silver with a very pastel light blue. So we bring the color wheel into the sky blue area and come into the very, very pastel zone. Now we paint bucket these. Zoom in. Make sure all of these points have been filled in. Now, can you see that bit of spotting that was missed out? So first of all, let me change the color of my silver layer. Now let me go back to my spotting and fill in that bit of black. You all saw that. But did you see that? Now, the lips. I know, again, my wife always laughs at my choice of colors for female makeup because apparently I'm very old-fashioned. I choose a lot of colors that were quite popular in the 1970s, apparently. So anyway, I'm not following exactly accurately the exact color palette of the animation because it's more towards animation. I'm going more towards a comic book discipline here. And just for the sake of matching, I'm going to make her star. Same way, lips and star. So I come here. Why did it always do that? Will you please sample my burgundy? Thank you very much. And the last color left are her blue eyes. Her baby blues. Again, in the comic, they're quite pastel-y, but I'm going to make them much more saturated just to make this a bit more dynamic. And let me change my color layer. There. That's looking pretty on point.
Save!
Thank you very much. Thanks for reminding me. And let's put a bit of shading on this, shall we? Let's put a bit of shading on this, shall we? A very simple kind of shading, yeah? So I'm going to get one layer and call it shadows. So the first piece of shading I want to put on, I'm going to get the polyline, the poly lasso. I'm going to come down here in the yellow area and just come down the side of her face here. Gentle clicks. I want to get it, make the illusion of a curve. Uh-oh, my computer's, it's stalling. Is it going to crash? It's doing something funny. I'm going to keep going if nothing's happening. Very scary. Never trust technology, mate, I tell you. Okay. So I'm going to fill this with black. Then let's try the opacity at 30%. That looks about right. I'm going to put the star in the same shadow. And her head is casting a shadow. So I'm going to bring this down all the way over. There. And let's try something interesting here. I'm going to put the tiara in a bit of a global shadow to give it a bit of mystique. Then one layer, I'm going to make this layer gray colored Then I'm going to make another layer, call it light. I'll make it a light gray. And I'm just going to put a line of white here and knock it back slightly to 50%. This is what's called the opacity. Okay, so there's our Wonder Woman. I'm saving. Okay, so I hope some of you were able to follow me with that. So now, remember, this is mainstream month. Very clever, I thought. Very, very clever. Mainstream. So over here, I want to draw Iron Man. So I'm going to get all of my Wonder Woman layers. I'm going to put them into a folder called Wonder Woman. Now I want to draw Iron Man because he's very tricky. So first of all, let me get Wonder Woman out of the way. And while I prepare to draw Iron Man, I want to play the trailer for the Comic Con. I think it's Grand Rapids. We got a nice trailer to show you because the Madness Entertainment Group. We're going to be there in fine style, in full force, broadcasting live. So I'm going to play a trailer. I'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Hey heroes, cosplayers, and pop culture fans, are you ready to assemble for the ultimate geek weekend? The Hall of Heroes Comic-Con is invading Elkhart, Indiana with 2 explosive days of comics, stars, and non-stop fun. Join us Saturday, May 30th and Sunday, May 31st, 2026 at the Northern Indiana Event Center in Elkhart. Doors open at 10 a.m. both days. VIP early entry at 9:30 a.m. on Saturday. We're rolling out a massive lineup of legends. Meet Eric Estrada from Chips and Fallout, Dirk Benedict from the A-Team and Battlestar Galactica, Tara Reid from American Pie and Sharknado, Catherine Cavadini, voice of Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls, Kel Mitchell from All That, Kieran and Kel and Mystery Men, horror icon Tony Moran, the original Michael Myers in Halloween, and more. Plus, top comic artists including Arthur Sidem, Marvel Zombies and Deadpool, John Kramer from Batman and Wonder Woman, Keith Pollard, a legendary Marvel artist on Spider-Man and Thor, and more. Scott Rosama, Stuart Sager, and others. Get autographs, photo ops, and chats with the stars and creators who shaped your favorites. The floor is packed with over 150 vendors, artists, and cosplayers offering exclusive comics, collectibles, original art, and merch. Enjoy cosplay contests for kids and adults with great prizes, live Q&A panels, artist showcases, interactive zones, and family-friendly fun all weekend. And the excitement goes live. Madness Entertainment Group is broadcasting straight from the con floor all weekend on YouTube, Build, and Rumble. Catch every moment as it happens, then relive it anytime with the full shows available later on MedTV on Roku. Grab your tickets today at hohcomiccon.org and make the Memorial Day weekend legendary. Hall of Heroes Comic-Con, May 30th and 31st, 2026. Northern Indiana Event Center, Elkhart, Indiana. We'll see you there, heroes. This ad was created by Nim on behalf of Madness Entertainment Group and Hall of Heroes Comic-Con.
So you saw that and you heard that. It's the Hall of Heroes, not the Grand Rapids. I think that was a few weeks ago. I'm showing my age. God damn. The Hall of Heroes. That looks like fun. And I saw that they've got Keith Pollard there. That's the first time I've seen him. I had no idea what he looked like. See, back in the time when I used to collect comics avidly, you're talking about the Silver and Bronze Age. There was no internet. So a lot of comic artists, you have no idea what they look like. And it's good to see that he's still drawing. He was very, very good, Keith Pollard. Yeah, man. I've been binging on a lot of classic artists and their work. This morning, very early in the morning, there was Late Night Art Attack, another show that I do here on Madness Entertainment Group with Raoul Monsieur. And I was overtaken by the spirit of the late, great Gene Colan. I was going for some ridiculous false perspectives. And that was great fun. I've got a trailer to that. Maybe I'll run that a bit later if I have time. But now, let's get to our next hero. Iron Man. Shellhead. Suck it to Shellhead. So I'm gonna draw this head smaller. So I'm gonna go to this part of the canvas. And what we start with? We always start with a square. We're doing a grid. A lot of the stuff that I've been doing here on the Madness Entertainment Group has been skeletal based, where we construct a character from a skeleton. Now I'm going using a grid. That's a different methodology. We shall do skeletons again one day. So we got a square, correct? Now give me a similar size square below. I do like including these, drawing these shapes in Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along, because the more you practice drawing basic fundamental shapes and trying to get them accurate. Right, I can see my bottom square is not quite as tall as my top one. And I said it once before on this show, and it always gets a bit of a laugh, I've heard, is apparently, if you can draw naturally, so, ever since you were a young kid, you were drawing, and things were pretty accurate. There's a group of doctors in Australia. They've come up with the opinion that anyone who can draw remotely accurately, naturally, without taking art lessons, is on the spectrum. How about that? Now, I have no idea if it's true. One thing that does make me think it might be true is, have you ever seen the drawings of people who can't draw? There are some people that are really, really bad at drawing. And maybe they're the normal ones. Maybe drawing isn't normal. Could explain why so many artists are a bit strange. Present company excluded, of course. Then you ask yourself, what is strange? Right, so I had two squares. I divided them into 4 each, and then the bottom set, I divided horizontally again. Now, we did it with all the other squares, but I'm just going to do it with this first set. But you can do it as many times as you want, because it can help you with accuracy. So for Iron Man, what I want you to do is give yourself a marker here and here, the bottom square, and come about halfway along, halfway between each square. Give yourself a marker and then give yourself a tangent coming down and joining there and joining there. And then joining here. Good. Now the top center and the bottom of the first square, I want you to give me a curve, touch, 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 touch. And you will gradually start to form an arc. Same the other side, touch, touch. Use the ball of your hand to swivel and create an arc. Oh no, I didn't make a new layer. Yeah. Okay, so this should be grid. Then it should have been head shape. Shape, head shape. You're going too fast, boy. Slow down. Okay, so I'm going to make that a bit lighter. Can you see that's a bit lighter? Okay, let's come back in again. Let's do what we just did. I did a tangent here. I did a tangent there. I did a tangent everywhere. We got the curve of the head up here. And again here. I'm going to have a rough weekend, I think. I mentioned already that I was out till late last night in a nightclub, and at my age, that's not recommended. And I've got a game of football later, or what you people stateside call soccer. Indeed. So I'm going to be very tired. But I digress. Just under halfway down that square, and halfway, just under halfway up there, give me a marker, and the same here. Try to keep it symmetrical, boy. Then give yourself a slight, not too thick. This is it's earpieces. Give yourself a marker. Now, I want a slight gradient coming into that. There, slight gradient. Join them up. Join them up. Good. Now, actually, I'm a Silver Age kind of guy. The Iron Man that I'm drawing is much more modern. And I'm not the biggest fan, let's say, right? But I'm trying to stay modern. I'm trying to keep up with the cool kids. So come to the bottom. Remember, I divided the bottom squares into half again. So come into the bottom rectangles, and just over halfway, give yourself a marker. Then just over halfway down here, you've got to give yourself a slope. About there. There. Give yourself a slope there. Then we're going to come up parallel to this line. But I want it a little bit steeper, so it just comes in under the earpiece. There and there. We give ourselves those markers. And join them up. Join them up. I like to touch where I'm going and then go back and join. Good. Now again, we're going to, just inside of the earpiece here, come in slightly. About there. And then join up the slope. Here. There. And there. I'm quite proud of myself that I'm actually drawing a new Iron Man and not the Silver Age Iron Man. I'm always doing that. I'm always going full old school, man. No, closer to the line, but under the top square, give me another marker. You're taking the costume in there. Got that? Now halfway down, we're gonna jump over here now, okay? Halfway down about here. Give me a line, not too long. About that length. You got that? Good. And then just over 1/3 along this line here. Give me another marker. Like that. Is that over 1/3? It's probably just over 1/3 of this line. And then up here, I want you to come up about 1/3 of this line here. This is about there. Now give yourself a guideline, horizontal from that one, because passing through this point, we need to come up to meet that line. So now we've gone through the marker. We've gone through the marker here. And now we can join this up. That legendary shape on Iron Man's brow. Now give me a tram line to just underneath that. There, good. And I want you to just come down in a diagonal manner from the corner of that piece of helmet decor and join up that and this. Try to keep them as consistent as possible. Symmetry. We want symmetry. You join up here, and now you join up here. Good. We got the basic face shaping. So let's have a look at how to position the mouth. Come down to the two bottom quadrants again, and just give me a straight line there. Not too long, about the width of 1/3 of one of those squares. And then give me a little downward cleft on the edge here. We're going for quite the animation kind of adaptation as well. So now about 1/3 along the halfway line here. Give me a marker here, about 1/3. Then come in about 1/4 from here and give me a little marker in here. Now we want the same the other side. About there and about there. I stand corrected. Is that far enough in? Oh, think about there, you know. Get your averages correct, boy. So here, join this up. Once you get the top line of the eyes, it's easier to create the rest of the eye. So then you just come down, make a double tram line, and join those up. Now you'll notice that these eyes are halfway down the head. That is, of course, correct. Eyes are generally halfway down the head. Then we put in just a bit of decoration here. Which I ink these subtly in a moment. And then the jawline. Make him even more strong. Good. There's our Iron Man sketch. So now I can switch off my grid. And there's Shellhead in its completion. So now it's inking time. Inking time, inking time. Every time it's inking time. So I should go. Now he's an inorganic character. So I'm going to use drawing tools to ink this as an experience. So let's see. Is that thick enough? Yeah, I think I'll go. Is that thick enough? I've got my inner detail to go. Okay, I'll go with that. I'll go with that. How about that? Right. So the first thing I want here is a vertical. So I'm going to come down here and tap. I'm using the curve tool. And if I hold shift, it gives me a perfect straight line. I could, of course, use the polyline. It would help if I had the right thickness. This one, I can just touch, hold shift, and touch again, which is very fast. When I'm doing mecha, I do use mechanical tools because I don't want the lines to look too organic, basically. So I'm going to come back to the curve tool. I'm going to touch at the pinnacle of the head. E. Take your time, boy. there. Then we pull the Bezier curve tool. I'm being a bit naughty here. I should really do this with 3 arcs. I'm trying to do it with only 2, which is a bit dangerous. But never mind. Now, with the eyes, I'm going to stick with a thick piece of inking. The eye was a bit smaller on the inside. That's another reason why I like the old school Iron Man, was that his face used to contort to have emotion, which is quite ludicrous when you think about it. So I'm going to go for a slightly thinner line now for the inner detail. So I'm going to make it a bit thinner than that. I'm going to do the outer mask with this thinner line. And I'm also going to do the shape on the head with this tool. And the mouth. Now I'm going to use a special tool for this piece of decoration. It's a straight line, but it's got something called tapering. Can you see here? I'm going to make it go thin to thick to thin. So here, I just come in here, put in a bit of decoration like that, and the same for those accents on the jaws. That'll do. And I'm going to switch off the penciling. And we've got shell head. So now we come to base colors. Base. Now here's where I'm going to go a bit Silver Age. I'm going to make his costume quite red. Because Hollywood likes to make things a bit dark. Things that are a bit bright are not very cool, are they? So they often go for like quite a burgundy. I'm old school, man. I'm going for red. That sucker's red. Then we want some yellow. Let's put red, yellow. But when I was a kid, I loved Iron Man. And once he was fighting a guy called the Spy Master. And the Spy Master was melting his suit with a head beam. And I don't mind admitting, live on the Madness Entertainment Group, I cried. And my brother teased me. What a horrible young man he was. He teased me worse when Thor was getting beaten by Dr. Doom. I was absolutely horrified. And my brother, again, thought it was funny. And he teased me. Said Thor can't even beat Dr. Doom, a normal man in armor. And I used to take that sort of stuff so personally, mate. I tell you. I was such a geek. Really, I'm going to keep his eyes white. Nice. And I call that white. Fine, I'm not really getting into special effects here, but I am tempted. I am very tempted. How long we got left? 20 minutes. You know what? I might do that because I was going to draw the flap. Nah, never mind. I won't get overexcited. Control yourself, boy. Let's put a shadow like we did Wonder Woman, shall we? So let's have a look what we got here. Yellow head. It's going to come over here. Then let's pretend we're following some contours. Come in here. There's going to be a shadow on the left of his face, like the Amazon lady. So we fill that with black. Then we knock it back to 30%. I'm going to put a little bit on here. What happens if I put a little bit of shadow in the eyes? It's a bit goofy. Don't think we need that. And what I will do is I'm going to put one piece of light give me some white. Give me a circle. I'll fill this with white. I'm going to rotate it slightly. And knock back its opacity slightly. I go 50% like Wonder Woman. Save. Okay, good. So this shall hit. I shall put all of his bits into a folder and call it Iron Man. So let's make another grid, shall we? Let's make another grid, shall we? How long we got left? 15 minutes. We can sketch our guy in 15 minutes, I think. So the flash, it's got a very fancy air decoration. So we've got to make sure that we leave space at the edge of the paper to fit in his ears. So at home, I hope you're practicing drawing squares. Oh, I didn't check the comments. Naughty boy. Let's see what's going on here. Houston, Texas says, I am an Iron Man, or am I a Groot? Or I am Groot. I am Iron Man, or I am Groot. A bit of a Guardians reference there. Inking time. Damn right. Don't get ink on your monitor. Dan's in the house. Dan the man. That's Dan Sen from Thunderzone Comics, whom I do a lot of work with. Indeed, if you're working traditionally, you got to be very careful with getting ink everywhere. But I, of course, I'm inking traditionally. Sorry, digitally. God. I can tell I need more sleep. Hanging out in nightclubs, chatting to reggae music at my age should be illegal. So let me shift this up slightly. Let's draw the bottom grid. I'm not very happy with my averaging. I'm not being very special today. I've been drawing my bottom squares a bit smaller than my top squares. We all have something called an artistic footprint. There are certain things that each of us will be stronger at drawing in and weaker at. And something that I have to be very careful of is often when I'm drawing a comic or an image that has lots of characters in it, I have to pay special attention that my second characters aren't noticeably smaller than the first ones. And I can see here, my first squares tend to be bigger than my later ones. That I do. So what do we do? First of all, let's call this grid. G-R-I-D. So grid, we're going to divide everything in half vertically. Come down. Oh no, I'm stuck in my MCing mode. Bit schizophrenic, mate. The funny thing is, for any of you familiar with reggae music, that originates in Jamaica. Now, my parents were from Barbados. Now I know what you're all thinking. We're just as bad. But there is a big difference in the cultures. And when you're doing that kind of stuff live, often people come up and ask you, are you Jamaican? Then you start talking to them normally. And of course, my accent is nothing like, it's nothing like that. And I can't help thinking I'm a bit of a fraud. You can see the shock on their faces. You know, they're expecting me to say something like, yes, sir, my name is Jerome Hinds, you know, boy, yes. But actually, I don't talk like that. Enough of these shenanigans. What are we doing? We're drawing the Flash. Now, the Flash has a more narrow chin than Iron Man. So here, we're talking about 1/3. See this distance here of this bottom square? This distance here. We're talking about 1/3 of that distance, yeah? So let's go about there. And the same here. I like the Flash because he's got a different kind of build. You know, like Spider-Man. These guys are not so chunky as like your Supermans and your Thors and your Iron Man, that kind of stuff. These guys are a bit more light. You put in the chin. Eee! I did it again. I'm on the wrong layer. God damn. Go back. Go back, boy. Undo. Undo. Okay. Unit. Face shape. Yep. He's definitely suffering. He's suffering from his late night MCing. That teacher. Think you're so young. God damn. Okay. That's better. There's a Flash's draw line. And again, we got this hallmark arc here in the top square. It's why I like the 8 squares. You can do a lot with 8 squares. In touch, touch. Remember touch. How to draw arcs. You can almost imagine the curve there. And you touch and touch and touch. And you will kind of like almost reflexively drop it in. Then you just go over the top. Good. Now put in the sides of his head. Sketch. We've got 10 minutes left. I want to finish this sketch before we're out of here. Now I've already played the Comic-Con trailer. Again, now similar to Iron Man. Very similar to Iron Man. Or halfway here, halfway there, halfway there, just below halfway. Halfway here. He's got a cog covering his ears. Now I want a slight gradient here, but the top gradient is a little bit deeper. so it comes in at an angle. Got that? Okay, we're drawing mainstream superheroes here as part of my the month of May theme. Mainstream, as in the month of May. Get it? God. Jerome, you're so clever. Oh no, my nose is running now. The poor man is run down. Okay, no, Flash has got these ridiculous air shapes, yeah? So what I'm gonna get you to do is I want you to play with basic plotting. So just above this halfway mark and up slightly, there. Give yourself a mark about there. Plotting odd shapes can be quite tricky. Give yourself a marker just below the edge of the cog here. And I want you to give yourself a curve. Now, when you're doing this, I really need you to keep those pencils light. And the same on the other side. Give me a curve. Jolly good. Now from that curve, I need you to come to just below here on the cog. Got that? And I want you to give me a curve just almost in line with the edge of the lower part of the air cog. There, in line with that and over, give me a curve like this. Sorry, I need to give myself a plot. There, got that? Then a gradient, not very long. Got that? And then join up to the top. Good, we got a basic shape. But it's not actually curved. They're straight lines. So now using the curve, give me a straight line in here, then it joins up there. Got that? And I want a straight line just at the beginning here. And I want a straight line at the top, like that, following the trajectory of the curve. And then we drop in a straight line to join up those. So we use curves to help us plot those straight lines. Good, now let's move to the face. Let's move to the face. Again, the halfway mark is always key to eyes. Come in about, what's that, about 1/5? 1/5 there. Good, now come down. Either side of the nose, just a short distance below that halfway line. Now come in slightly. Imagine that shape. Imagine that as a shape. Give yourself a marker here. Okay, this is where the savant comes in for all of us, yeah? We're gauging gradients and distances. And that's all drawing is. Gauging distances, averaging sizes. Good. We've got the eyes. Now, let's have a look at the mask. About one third down here. Give me a short straight line. That's the top of the nose. Now, again, just under halfway along this line, give me a marker there. Just under halfway along that line. Then come in, see this line? Halfway. give me a marker halfway. Nice. Nice. And I want you to give me a vertical line that lines up with the bottom of the air cog. Come up here in a straight line. Same on the other side. I can see my square is slightly sloped. What's happened to your symmetry, boy? God damn. There. Good. Then I want you to bring this line down there. Meet that. And then this comes up and meets the edge of the nose. Same here. Okay, we got 3 minutes to end the show time. Now here for the nose, we're going for a very simple. Just give me 2 arcs exactly on that junction of all the where those squares and the center line meet. Give me a basic shape like that. Then I want his bottom lip to fall on this bottom quarter. Give me a curve here. Just below the nose here. Just average that. And I want you to come along about just over 1/3. Out there. And there. Join that up. And just below the bottom lip, give me the bottom of the mouth. Then give me an open mouth. Nice. And then I want a row of teeth. It's nice to draw a character that's actually smiling. And then we can just slightly see the bottom row as well. I do like the flash. I remember my brother used to collect the flash. Now just next to the mouth, bring up another line from the chin. This will accentuate the slim features of our speedster. Okay, so we've done our sketch. We're going to ink this next week. So let's see what we've accomplished today. Our mainstream heroes. Oops, there's one more comment that's coming. That's probably Pop's 10-minute time. What is the message? Best viewers up crowd. Is that an ad? Is that spam? I have no idea. There we are, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We did Wonder Woman, Iron Man. We just started Flash. We will ink Flash next week. And then we're going to do something quite special, but I'm going to keep that as a secret. It's a secret. Thanks so much for joining in. Whoops. My name is Jerome Hinds. I'm based in Singapore. Well, most of you, I think, are watching are from the States. Thanks so much for logging in. Yeah, there's quite a few of you watching this week. Very nice to know. If you have any questions, you can find me at the Madness Entertainment Group all over social media, or definitely get in touch with our Facebook group. I'll see you back here at the same time next week. I'm going to run a couple of trailers here from what we did at Late Night Art Attack earlier today. And I'm going to see you back here, same time, same place, next week. Meanwhile, let me cut my music and play you those trailers. Peace.
Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along with Jerome Hinds now has monthly themes, kicking off with Mainstream Month. For the month of May 2026, Jerome wants you to join him for some simple sessions on how to draw top mainstream superheroes. Sketching, inking, coloring. So, pencils, styluses, brushes, and pens at the ready. And prepare for Supa-Saturdays Draw-Along Mainstream Month with Jerome Hinds.
If you like stories about truth, honor, and justice, then you should check out MAGA Man. It is Donald Trump as many now see him, the defender of justice and a warrior for peace through strength. MAGA Man is an all-American style 22-page comic book, so get over to fundmycomic.com and support the culture of truth, honor, and justice. With MAGA Man, the most needed hero of all. MAGA Man.
If you missed the live viewing of any Meg production, you can find all our content on Roku or as a member of this channel.